Hi, this is Bobby Brown, and welcome to another fucking podcast.
Truly a sight to behold. The man beat the once great champ, now a study in moppishness. No longer the victory-hungry stallion we've raced so many times before, but a pathetic, washed-up, aged ex-champion.
All right, let's go.
I think you know the guy. And I think you know him pretty damn well. His name is
Izzy Presley.
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 What's my name? Say my name, bitch!
My good friend.
Izzy Presley.
Izzy Presley.
Izzy Presley.
Izzy Presley. Ouch!
Izzy Presley. Whoa, that sounds a little weird.
Izzy Presley.
Izzy Presley.
Izzy Presley, the heaviest, girthiest rock DJ around.
Hey, this is Jeff LeBar. You listen to Izzy Presley. Those aren't pillows.
Hello, Las Vegas. No, Jeff LeBar, those are not pillows. Hello, world. Hello, my loyal minions. It is good to see you. It's always good to be seen. I'm Izzy Presley. I'm the host of the program. I have a special one for you tonight. Today, or whenever you're watching this or listening to this, welcome. Bruce Kulick. KISS. Dude, can we just talk about KISS? He's joining the show. We have a chat. About an hour and a half. Unscripted. Unedited. Nothing has to be taken out. We're talking about KISS Asylum. 40 years. On the 16th. Some say it's the 12th. Who's right, who's wrong? I don't know. Are we going to find out? I don't know. You have to watch the episode to find out. I mean, that's why you're here, right? To listen to Bruce Kulick talk about KISS stuff. Dude, can we just talk about KISS stuff? Yes, we can. For an hour and a half. And it's going to be glorious. Welcome to another effing podcast. If it's your first time, welcome. If it's not your first time, welcome back. Just to hit the essentials, hit the Patreon. If you're in the Patreon, you've probably already watched this or listened to this because you got it already and you got it ad-free. You got the video first. You got the audio first. You got the audio ad-free. If you get sick of those annoying commercials, you don't have to fast forward. Just go to the Patreon. It's only $5 a month. Patreon.com/RealIzzyPresley. It's simple. That's all you got to do. Come join the family. We do have actually a new Patreon fella with us, and I do want to say hello to him. His name is Vic Rector. I do not know if that is a gimmick name. If it is, props. It's got a ring to it. If it's your real name, props to your parents for giving you a kick-ass real name. Vic Rector, welcome to the family. Welcome to the miniondom. It is great to have you. I hope you enjoy. Tell your friends. Come join the party. Find all the links. IzzyPresley.com. It's simple. It's easy. It's all there. Patreon, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook show page. It's all Real Izzy Presley. It's simple. Just like Venmo. Venmo is Real Izzy Presley as well. Cash App's just $ Izzy Presley. That's easy. That's easy. I'm always open to taking money. You know, if you don't want to join the Patreon, you want to give me money, because you like what I do, I'm fine with that. I like money. Cash App, Venmo, carrier pigeon, large bags of cash. That works. Just watch the fight, Alvarez and Crawford. Spoiler alert, Alvarez did not win. Spoiler alert, I did not go put money on the fight. Spoiler alert, I would have not won. I mean, I would have bet on Crawford, but my bet would have been to knock out or TKO or stop the fight because that was plus 850. And that's what gambling's all about, right? But I did not. I'm trying to be more responsible. Cue Pat Fontaine. Yeah. We will see how that goes. But it was a good fight. I enjoyed it. I love boxing. I didn't like the fact that there was a judge named Tim Cheatham. There was a judge of the fight for the super welterweight. Was it super welterweight title? Is that what it was? Whose name is Tim Cheatham. Interesting. Very, very interesting. But you know what? I'm just going to shut up. If you're waiting for the review of that movie, that Spinal Tap thing, that will be coming on Sunday for all my Patreon folks. If you're not in the Patreon, the review's already up. It went up on Sunday. I know. Math. So, anyways, right after these messages, bringing back an old bit just for today, just for Bruce Kulick. We'll be right back with the one and only, the esteemed, the amazing, the quintessential, the man, the myth, the legend. His name is Bruce Kulick, and he played with KISS, and it's the 40th anniversary of KISS Asylum. This album right here, the best thing they put out post Love Gun. And you can quote me. It's another effing podcast from Izzy Presley.
A reading from the book of Paul, chapter Asylum, verse I'm alive. To many women, I've got too little time. I keep on trying. Man, if it kills me, I know that I'll go, dead, stiff, and smiling. Oh, don't need no doctor putting me to bed. Give me the nurse, and I'll make sure that she's fed. But need no doctor giving me pills. I'm hot enough to give you chills. This is the word of KISS. Praise be to Paul.
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Joining me, the esteemed, the one and only, the great Bruce Kulick. It is the 40th anniversary today, the 16th. Some say it's the 12th. We say it's the 16th of my favorite KISS record. I think it's the best thing they put out post Love Gun, top to bottom. I don't care what anybody says. I am standing by this record forever. KISS Asylum. Bruce Kulick. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Hey, Izzy. I'm doing great. Thank you. And just to touch upon a couple of points of your intro, yes, I'm aware that there's controversy about the release date. I ran into this when I did a big 35th anniversary celebration, and that was actually in 2020 when I was learning how to make videos. And I shared a really good in-depth story about my feelings of the album. And it's remarkable. It's 40 years. It doesn't really matter if it's the 12th or 16th. It's now. And I think all the viewers that are very hip to KISS or KISS Online, the website, that the official product came out even early. You know what I mean? And I think you'll notice with the recent, Alive anniversary that the product's not there yet, but it will be. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, I used to be pretty on point about if I knew there was an anniversary day, I tried to release some content on that day. But I know that the moving parts to make product, have it manufactured, and all of that, very, very, probably very complicated. You know what I mean? And then they need to, meaning KISS with Universal Records, they need to space it all out. What if there's competing product in the same week or two?
Yeah.
That's not good business. So I hope everyone understands out there. There are reasons behind it. Not all of them do I know, but I know that they have to be dealt with. But there was another point you made. That is that you love the record, okay?
I do love the record.
And I appreciate that. I hear a lot of love for Asylum, and I love it too. enough to like create a guitar like this.
Yeah, it's
You
so
know what I
beautiful.
mean?
It's great.
Which is only two of a prototype, and then the one I'm holding, which is on my website, and it's a Kulick guitar. Okay, made with parts from a really good boutique builder called AXN. So Asylum really did mark a huge milestone for me, because now I am on the cover. Now I am
Yeah.
photographing with the band. Animalized the album, even though I did do a little bit of guitar work on it, you know.
hmm
Um, and of course I did the entire tour except for like a couple of half shows, and I missed one show, the one that came out as a soundboard recording.
Yeah.
They put that one out with Mark. But all those dates of mine in large, and then of course Animalized Live. So I was already a big part of what was the resurgence of KISS, shall I
hmm
say? Because Animalized was an up. Lick It Up is a great record. Don't get me wrong. And Creatures was great. They didn't sell as well. And then
Right.
Heaven's on Fire and Fueled. And there was something about MTV maybe that kicked in with KISS at the time.
hmm
Had nothing to do with the new guitar player. It wouldn't matter who it was. It was the
Right.
timing was right.
Right.
And that was pretty exciting to see. Like that climb. And I know you wanted to start off with Animalized, so go ahead.
Well, actually, I wanted to start off with the anniversary box set.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What? So,
Let's talk
I,
about that. Go ahead.
well, so like when they first started advertising it, the shirt only had Gene and Paul on it, and then there was stinking uproar from the Kiss Army, and all of a sudden a shirt came out with only you and Eric on it. Uh,
Well,
what were
there's a
you?
version of all four, but there's the one that
Yeah,
I like, right?
yeah, absolutely. But
Yeah.
what did you think when you saw that first shirt that only had Gene and Paul on it?
I knew it was a big mistake, but I also knew that it was a pattern that was happening prior,
hmm
from other releases where they might have blurred an Eric Carr,
hmm
or if it was, something to do with Vinny, because they didn't deal with the business end of it with those people for whatever
Ah,
good reason that they felt
right.
they had. Now, while all that product did come out, where the makeup version of Kiss with Tommy and Eric was still full steam ahead, very
hmm
successful. Okay. So I can understand only to a small degree, but I do understand. Well, we're pushing the makeup stuff, and we don't necessarily need to confuse the narrative, possibly. So
Yeah.
in the end, they chose not to reach out or do anything in the regards to including the people that they don't control. Now, Pop House, the new owners, they own 50 years, okay?
Yeah.
Right? And they're still learning. I actually really like some of the contacts that I've made there, and they are a part of fueling the gig at the Virgin later in the year.
hmm
But staying on point with how they release product, they read the backlash. They read that. They saw it. They knew it was wrong.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't real hard to reach out to me or the estate of Eric Carr, which would be his
Yeah.
sister, and have a conversation so it could be worked out. Because my position was not about, in business, there'll always be that one that like, well, I wouldn't do that. You got to give me $1 million. Okay.
Right.
Something
Hello, are you fucking
ridiculous.
talking about?
Right. I know you were referencing, but I'm staying out of
I
that.
know. I
Okay.
know. I'm just
But
making a
but
joke.
but understandably, some people I don't have a gripe about it, and
Yeah.
I want everybody to win. I'm not
Yeah.
going to deny that I want to win, but I want the fans to win. And then the narrative of the release and what we all contributed to such a great record,
hmm
and the image being so important on that record, even if you didn't like the artwork, there were four guys being represented. So
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
would you want to not include that? Now, this was an official tour shirt,
Oh,
which
wow.
is now brand new. It's
Oh,
called the
nice.
Ragland, with the artwork from the back.
Yeah. I
Okay, and
need
there
that.
it is. But without asking, Eric's family and mine, how can we work this out? They knew that they shouldn't really put it out, and it was pretty easy, Izzy, and it was silly that it didn't happen prior with anything else. Okay,
hmm
but that was their choice, Pop House clearly wants to represent everything. And moving forward, I'm hoping for the same thing to continue on through those album releases. Okay.
Mhm.
And they also see some value in Asylum and the non-makeup years, where I'm pretty sure that, first of all, honestly, I was aware that Universal really drives this conversation. Okay, the
Yeah.
record company, and I'm not sure completely, all the business, rights and angles that makes that happen. But I'm aware that I've already heard from people, like Paul was like, "Oh, when did that come out?" And he's signing this is a few years back, a shiny new version of Revenge. You remember,
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
30th anniversary. So it's not like he was like, "Hey, can we put this out?" They own it, Universal. Okay.
Yeah.
Now they are working with Pop House. Pop House is not the record company. They are not a record company. They're a huge company that their goal, like with the success they did with ABBA, to do that for KISS and
Mhm.
probably other artists. They're well funded. They are learning, of course, more and more about KISS. They knew more about ABBA. How could they not? One of the
Right.
principals at the company was in ABBA. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's still the music business, and
Mhm.
these people have a passion for getting inside the brains of the Kiss, fan. Okay, so I know not everything could be perfect moving forward, but I can say that there's somebody getting the bigger picture and wanting to celebrate all eras, and not get caught in something as silly as a T-shirt that
Mhm.
everybody knows has four people, only have two. And then
Right.
I did not ask them to do a picture, a shirt of Eric Carr and myself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll be honest, I thought it was crazy, but I do know that they were making a point.
Yeah.
Okay. And I said, look, I'm not going to fight you about doing that, but I think this is the one that will sell. You know what I mean? That you can
Yeah,
finally
yeah.
do, with the great tour thing on the back. Because the other official tour shirt, by the way, was just look like a globe with exciting colors around it. Didn't show the band,
Mhm.
but they really wanted to do it to show, hey, maybe it's the new sheriffs in town, so this is the way they want to play it. You know
Right.
what I mean? And I think they were able to do that one printing on demand. So if it was a total bust, it wouldn't matter. And
Right.
if it was successful, it wouldn't matter because print on demand is wonderful. All
Yeah, it's
those
great. That's how I do all
guitar
that
nut
stuff.
tees, yeah, and all the things I do with. Now I don't offer this pillow, but the
Right.
guy who does guitar nut tees gifted me because it's pretty awesome. you
Yeah,
know,
it's great.
but
That's
but all the
phenomenal.
other pillows that and T-shirts that I do with that company of my guitars and things like
Mhm.
that. This is very Asylum oriented, printed on demand. You know what I mean? You don't have
Yeah.
to stack a room with pillows that you need to sell, and many companies work that way. So I thought that was really interesting that was actually the right way to do that. You know what I mean? Now you're talking about the shirts, but let's look at the product real
Yeah,
quick.
I wanted to get into that.
Now this one, this is the deluxe one. You can almost
Mhm.
look like we're like very dark skinned if you don't hold it
Yeah. Oh, it almost
right.
looks, yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's
Red
very
tans.
clever. I shared some pictures. There's wonderful things in here. I'm not going to open it up because it would make a hot mess. But it's a beautiful product. This is the picture disc.
Mhm.
Only 500 made. Believe me, they could have sold 5,000. I don't know
Right.
why they do all those very limited runs, but and the only people that get that, you have to be a member
Mhm.
on like Kiss Online. There's a special thing. There is maybe a fee associated with that. So that sells out in 2 minutes as soon as it goes live. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Even
yeah.
if it's even if some of them are speculative, you know what I mean, to then throw
Mhm.
it on eBay later. You know that. But this one's beautiful too, and this is the one that is the standard one,
Yeah.
okay? And it has like a raised, the phone's never going to show it my camera,
Right, right,
but it's
right.
kind of raised, and then there's a great poster with it. It's got a lot of cool things, and I've shared things about this. Also, the disc is, and anyone can buy this. Now they kind of forcing you to get a bundle with a shirt. I don't
Mhm.
always agree with that.
Yeah, I
I,
don't
I
either.
I'm not on the board of directors at Universal. Okay,
Right, right.
but that's real cool with all the Asylum colors. Okay,
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
all this stuff I really love, and of course, even going back to the uh, off the soundboard recording, which did look different for the Animalized show for the Asylum show that, of course, is me. And even though there was criticism, too many raps, it should have had more songs. That was the concert. I actually have a
Right.
board mix of a show within that month. That's the way it sounded. I mean, if you have any criticism about it, you don't hear the audience, you can't hear the excitement, but there was nothing. That Asylum show was exactly who we were. Yeah, it's pretty shocking to hear Paul being so, you know what I mean?
Right. But it was the 80s. It was the
Yeah,
time, you
yeah,
know?
that was rock and roll then. And what can I say? I still stand by it. Thank God it was one of the concerts they had the board mixed for was I played well. Okay, you know, there's
It's
nights.
always a
Hey,
bonus.
there's nights you break a string in the middle of a solo. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, oops, you know, and you can't go and they weren't fixing any of that kind of stuff. You
Mhm.
know, so ultimately, this is the 2014 one also looked great, but you remember when they did that, there was nothing special about it. It was just
Right,
here's
right.
vinyl,
Well,
right?
Bruce, I tell you, I was working for Universal on a temp project
Oh,
when they
cool.
were putting that together.
Right.
And me being the Kiss nerd that I am, I'm like, you can't just give them what you already gave them. You got to put
Yeah.
more stuff in there, especially
Yeah.
for the 80s stuff. It's like Animalized. Put it
Right.
because we never got an official DVD release of Animalized Live Uncensored. Put that
Yeah.
in with the record, you know, but it
Yeah.
was
I think
too
there's
late at that
rights
point.
along with that are complicated. I think the same thing for MTV.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised that everyone forgets. I'm a fan too, so I want everything. You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
to be a part of like what exactly what you're expressing. But the truth is, on the business level of this thing called the music business,
Yep.
there are really complicated issues with who owns what. Sometimes a company even disappears, or they don't even
Hmm.
know who now has the rights to that. And there's been so many lawsuits for so many bands and so many
Yep.
products that you just can't move forward without really having that paper trail and thing done
Hmm.
correctly. Okay, so that being said, there's a lot of things that I really wish, but I'm not the one that's going to spend the time to figure out what happened to that. You know what I mean?
Right,
Meanwhile, there's
right.
fans bootlegging it, and you find it on eBay from Brazil or whatever, and
Yeah.
it plays fine in your DVD. You know,
Right, right.
so. But you're right, and the 14 thing I think was the resurgence of vinyl. So okay, now here it is, all new,
Yep.
2014. I still have my 1985, version and my 80, whatever next album, 87 ones. And you can find them in record shops. Sometimes they're in good condition. Most of the time they're not. But
Right.
now they have that opportunity to do that. And my only regret, I love the new campaign. Oh, by the way, the normal one, even though it had paint splatter on it and everything, but
Hmm.
not the one that was with the Obi sleeve, the picture disc one. The other one is limited to 2,500. So for whatever reason, Universal, these are the numbers they stick on it. I think they're low, for the product,
Right.
but I don't really know how much sells or not. You know what I mean?
Right,
So,
right.
but I know I want a copy, and I know I'll be as I get out there continuing this year. I'll be signing people's copies when I do other events like Fanboy, for example,
Yeah.
later this month where Gene will be headlining. So what can I say? I'm excited. I'm excited for the future too.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to see all this stuff coming out about Asylum. I mean,
Yep.
like I said, it's the 40th anniversary. So let's dive into before Asylum. When you get the call, now we had this. You were holding court at the Bootlegger one night, and you were talking about working with Billy Squire. And I didn't know. I didn't know the story. I didn't know that you had
Right.
played on a couple of his records, but you had said what you were doing with Billy had an effect on if you would have been in Kiss or not. Can you
Yes.
explain that story?
Well, and I only played on one Billy Squire record, and like most things in my career, there's always a little connection to my brother Bob.
Right.
Which us both being guitarists. And by the way, last night I was listening to Larger Than Life and working on some of the riffs, and oh my God, I mean, he really did such an incredible job for Kiss. and I do understand his bragging about it, if you know what I mean. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, for
sometimes
sure.
sometimes he did it to a fault, because
Right.
you're not gonna, he still can't compete with Ace overall as the
Right.
icon original guitarist of Kiss. We
Right.
all know that, but Bob really kicked some serious ass on anything he did, and
Hmm.
I it's interesting me like really dissecting his riffs and realizing how much passion he brought to those Kiss songs. So
Hmm.
I applaud you up there, Bob. Okay, I want you to know that. Um, you know, he was working with Billy originally. Bob had his hands on a lot of artists, and of course, my introduction to Kiss was through my brother. Even
Of
though
course, yeah.
it was Mitch Weissman that convinced Paul to have me ghost guitar on Animalize. Okay,
Hmm.
and I even auditioned in '83 when they had the cattle call. I had a
Okay.
mustache. I was really green. I couldn't imagine myself being the new character with makeup and
Hmm.
kids. I couldn't. And I remember Gene liked what I did and said nice vibrato, but I didn't feel like I played my best anyway.
Hmm.
So now move it up forward. The Billy record, I was working with another artist from New York, recording in the same studio that Billy was going to use up in Woodstock. And it was with Eddie Alford, the engineer producer of Yes.
Hmm.
Okay. And Eddie, oh, I love the Yes albums. Eddie was a legend to me. And as much as um, I didn't think Billy would be asking me to do the record, he was up there and Bob couldn't. And Bob, he wasn't going to wait for Bob. Bob had some conflict because he started to, like I said, he did some of the demo songs for Billy Squire's first album,
Hmm.
which I got to give a shout out. Eddie Trunk's favorite Billy Squire record, one of his favorite records of all time.
Right.
It
Right.
is a really terrific record. He didn't take off quite yet, though. You know that.
Hmm.
He came out of Piper, which was an Aucoin band.
Yep.
There's the Kiss connection too. Probably maybe how he knew Bob as well in New York. The whole thing. And I was up there, and then I'm introduced to Billy, and he's like, "I'd like you to. Are you available? Can you play on my record?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know I can't stay long though, because at the time I was working with Michael Bolton. Okay,
That's right.
it was the
Blackjack. Yeah.
band, even though it was below 10, and we were doing our second album. Okay, up there as well, and going to use the same team. And the same studio. It was actually at an interesting studio, Levon Helms' home, which was, there was a lot of famous band stuff done there. It wasn't Big Pink, but it was a known studio up in the Woodstock area. So I did get to cut all the basic tracks with Billy, and man, I loved working with him. And maybe I was only up there for like a week or so, but I took notes on things. I watched him take notes rather. I saw how meticulous he was. And then Blackjack was needed to rehearse um, because we were supposed to get tour support money to support the second album. Okay,
Hmm.
Blackjack album. In the end, the whole thing fell apart, and I never did that. And Billy was really pissed that I left the record. He was able to finish it without me.
Right.
In fact, I know that he kind of took some of my ideas from the rough tracks, if I had some solo ideas, and he just cleaned them up. Billy's a fine guitarist,
Yeah.
but he's very meticulous. He'll prepare everything. He's not going to just jam. You know what I mean?
Right.
And ironically, um, I couldn't go on tour with him, because I thought I was going on tour with Michael Bolton and my band called Blackjack.
Yeah.
So in the end, it didn't happen. Okay. And of course, he moved on and got, another guitar player.
Hmm.
And he took off, okay, incredibly by the second album, not from Tail of the Tape. And if I actually said, Michael, bye bye, Billy Squires, needs me, and I believe in this guy, if I did that, okay,
Hmm.
that's the connection of that story that you said, then I don't think I would have been available for the Animalized Ghost session. I don't think I would have been invited by Paul, Don't Cut Your Hair, which means Mark St. John's ill, which I didn't know, you know what I mean? And
Right.
all of a
Yeah.
sudden,
Yeah. Yeah.
within 6 weeks, getting a call, we need you to go to Europe. I'm like, what? I thought I won the lottery to be in KISS for 2 weeks or maybe 6 weeks, And then, of course, we all know it turned into 12 years, which
Mhm.
was quite exciting.
What was it like for you, being like you're being in Blackjack, it's your band, and all of a sudden you get a call to be the replacement guy in KISS.
What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, because
Okay.
you go
Well,
from
I mean,
your band to
there was a
be a
long
replacement
licking
guy.
the wounds, period there first. All right.
Yeah.
So blackjack doesn't happen. You're
Yep.
you're jumping ahead. Tail of the tape. I could be wrong. I'm saying that's closer to 1980 or 81. I'm
Oh,
not
okay,
positive.
okay.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now I'm like, ugh, not in Michael's band. Michael needed to figure out what was next for him, which meant he was going to write great songs, even if they were pop songs.
Hmm.
But then he still came out as a rock singer again, and I did
Right.
work with him shortly. But I had a little period there where for 2 years I played lead guitar with the Good Rats, which was a East Coast band that was very
Hmm.
popular in New Jersey, Long Island. It came from Long Island, really. Look them up sometime. Wow. But in the end, I wasn't crazy about the Good Rats. It was just steady work, and I could
Yeah.
play guitar constantly, and I was home, so I was
Hmm.
based on home. It wasn't like going on the road
Right.
with a band and leaving your home for months. But when Michael gave me the call, hey, I have dates now as a solo artist with the rock record, which was on MTV and everything. So I supported him. I was his guitarist. And the funny quick story about that, and then we should talk about KISS anyway, Asylum. But Michael didn't have enough material really to support Bob Seger on an arena tour for 3 weeks.
Hmm.
So he's doing covers and some of the songs from the first thing, because Michael was always known as a terrific kind of blues rock singer who could do
Yeah,
Rocky
yeah, yeah.
Mountain Way and stuff like that. And Seger was like, "What the hell is this? I didn't hire a." I mean, obviously he knew the whole set wasn't covers. So
Right.
now it's like, what other songs you guys have, or you're off the tour? And then it wasn't too hard for me to say, Michael, I think we need to do some blackjack. And we did. And that was great. And everybody was happy. You know what I
All
mean?
right. All
So,
right.
and I have to give a little shout out. I'm so still very sad that, Michael, as much as he's hanging in there, he had a very serious, brain cancer
Oh,
thing and a
that's
tumor
right. That's
removed,
right.
and
Yeah.
he's been battling that. And I don't know much more other than on occasion the family will post a photo with him. But I just, do want to say that quite a few people aren't aware of it, even though it was a big People
Mhm.
magazine thing about it in April. But that, if it gets back to Michael's people, we all love you and miss you, because it's been so hard to actually speak to him.
Right.
But I know the family loves him very much, and they're looking after him. And I just such an ambitious, talented man. I
Yeah.
can't
Great
even
voice.
imagine what
What a
it's like. So
voice.
suddenly, the brakes. You know what I mean? You hit the
Yeah.
brakes, and your life changes like that.
Hmm.
So I'm hoping the best for him. So anyway, and then the connection later on with Michael with Forever and Paul's
Yeah.
family, of course.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
at that point, again, now I'm done with Michael's tour and I'm home, and I get the call from Paul, come in and do a song. And then, of course, I wasn't with Billy. Michael didn't take off as a solo
Hmm.
artist that I would have, that was that consequential. Billy was like double, triple platinum ready by that,
Right.
that second album that he put out. So then next thing I know, there I am. Um, on tour with Kiss, and it was working. I kind of always felt really good about it,
Hmm.
and I didn't know what would happen by the time we got back to America. But clearly, for whatever reason, they needed to give Mark, a shot at least. So
Yeah.
now he's like traveling with us, and I had a very, I was really very grateful of everything. Then I remembered, um, this is such a great opportunity. I don't want to burn bridges, and I don't want to ruin it. So I'm not going to like knock him out like Tanya Harding or some crazy,
Right.
ice skating thing, So I just, hey, Mark, let's jam, you know what I mean? So we would like warm up backstage and everything,
Yeah.
which the guy who does all those t-shirts and pillows for me made a point telling me that I think you've played with every member of KISS. You know what I mean? And he's right. I even played
Yeah.
with Mark in a sense by jamming backstage, but
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
did play later on with Vinny at the
Hmm.
Creatures Fest, and of course I played
Yep.
with
I
Ace
was
and
there.
Peter at events, and Tommy, of course. and Eric
Yeah.
Singer and Eric
Yeah.
Carr. So I've hit I all the check boxes go to me. Okay, that's kind of cool. But anyway, Mark had his chance. They realized, contract or not, they had the right to send him home.
Mhm.
And I felt stylistically I was a better fit. I always felt
Yeah.
that way, and
Yeah.
and obviously I was. And I what I learned and grew and adapted to in all those years was with Kiss was, um, who I am anyway, because I'm always trying to, be supportive of the others that I'm with. I want it to be. It's not always about me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
well, this
Yeah.
is what I do, and screw you, you know what I mean? It's always a collaborative effort, and I always showed the respect to Gene and Paul, even if I didn't agree with them. I showed them, that respect because they
Right.
created such a huge thing, and I
Mhm.
continue to show them, that respect with with their entire career, because it's been just a wonderful ride for me, all in every which way.
How long? So you're on the tour. Then they say you're the guy. You're going to be in the band.
Yep.
You're the guy.
Right. That was
How
just
long?
days before Animalized Live.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So how long before the end of the tour did they start talking about the next record while you guys were on tour, or was that after the tour ended?
I really think it was after. These guys give their all when they're on tour and
Mhm.
get through the shows, and Asylum actually went through a lot of changes. I'm sorry, Animalized was a long tour rather.
Mhm.
Asylum did go through a lot of changes. We'll get to that later. But
Yeah.
Animalized certainly, they were so thrilled that they could have a platinum record. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And MTV doing a special with them. Um, that had to feel great for Gene and Paul. I mean, I wasn't around for the height of their success and some of the
Right.
tremendous, um, uh, events and sales and promotions and what they were able to do in makeup. And then when it started to, go down, and they hung out and they still did quality stuff. I love the Elder too, but they were really not in their groove, if you know what I
Mhm.
mean, and not
Yeah,
at
it's definitely different.
yeah. So then, to see it now go up like that, and I think they were just, basking in the glory of like, hey, we're back and we're
Right.
doing really great. And now Gene still had his sights on movies and other
Mhm.
things because he was always such an ambitious business person, doesn't believe in a day off or a holiday. So, and he'll brag about that, not be ashamed of it.
Oh,
Okay.
of course, of course.
Yeah. But the point I'm making is, I think this is where Paul started to really steer the ship, and I would imagine that songs and the plans for Asylum didn't really happen until that tour was over.
Okay. So, well, when you get the call, I mean, pre-production and writing and all that kind of stuff. Um, when when you're going in to start writing for Asylum, guitar wise, because like the first three Kiss records, they all have kind of the same sound. The second three, they all kind of have the same. Well, Destroyer was a whole production,
Sure.
but those first three non-makeup records all kind of have the same style and sound.
Right.
Were they asking you to write kind of like the guitar riffs were kind of like what had come out on Lick It Up and Animalize, or were they
No,
just
I,
like
I, I didn't get any direction. What I was very happy about is that I had the opportunity to work with both Gene and Paul.
right?
And they both work very differently. I've
Mm-hmm.
discussed quite a bit, through the years about their, collaborative songwriting approach, that they're very different, but they're both so talented with it.
Right.
Um, I just know that, I don't think they needed to give me a like, hey, if you come up with anything, make sure it's like something, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
this
yeah.
album or that album. Um, and what was great, of course, and I'll never forget, of course, knowing that Desmond Child, this is even before the Bon Jovi hit, but
Hmm.
Desmond was already a formidable writer,
Yeah.
and then there he is, he was involved with Heavens on Fire, of course, and then, I get the opportunity to come in and say like, all right, let's try to write something. So I prepared some ideas, and I think the first thing we worked on was King of the Mountain, where I
Hmm.
had the, you know, I had those chords, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I know, we're developing something, and then Paul would jump in with some chorus chords, and they're starting to sing along. It was pretty exciting, you know what I mean, to see a song shaped, with them. And then I came in with that fast, like, um, you know, I forget. So I had some things prepared. That would have been
Yeah.
I'm Alive, which had a different title in the beginning.
Right.
Excuse me if it's a little out of tune. I'm not plugged in or anything, but I'm
Oh, it's
just going to
okay. That
say,
it wasn't that there was no volume coming from the guitar at all.
okay, good.
So it
That's
looked
even
like you
better
were
because
air
I wasn't,
guitaring. It was great.
anyway. But my point is, everybody writes different, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Gene, I remember at some point on tour, I figured out some riffs for, I think it was Trial by Fire, which
Mhm.
also had a different title at first, but I had the chords, I had like a drum track to jam it to, and Gene right away, took a liking
Mhm.
to it. So, again, no direction, just knowing, well, this seems a little more. I always had a guess. Oh, I think Gene would like this better, and maybe Paul would like that better, because the problem was, if you pitch it to the wrong one, it was probably and didn't happen. It was probably dead in the water.
Right, right.
Because the other one, it's kind of like sloppy seconds,
Yeah.
and you know how guys get about that. That's
Oh,
important.
trust me, I know. But hey, it,
Yeah.
it worked. It worked with God of
Yep.
Thunder.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Uh,
No. Well, it's okay between the two of them.
yeah. Oh,
I'm
that's
talking
right.
about.
That's different. That's different.
They have a bond like brothers that fight, that
Yeah.
disagree, that will kill for each other.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
I'm well aware of how brutal they can sometimes, share about each other. And yet I know how they also can express how much they love each other and how much they need each other and how grateful they are for meeting each other and having that combined success. And I understand that, you know what I mean? It sometimes it takes that yin and yang, or that very,
Yeah.
black and white and difference, to make a better whole. And
Hmm.
that's why neither of the solo tours that anybody's ever done from those two guys could match any, Kiss. It just can't,
Right.
you know.
Right.
Even though they're both such tremendous artists on their own, it's very rare when the one of the principals can go off and be bigger. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or
No,
even as
exactly.
big as what they're a part of. Okay, it does happen. You could say Sting is even as big or bigger than the Police, but the
Hmm.
point is, Gene and Paul together, it just they're icons. Look what they created.
Oh, absolutely. Was there any? You say writing for whichever one, yada yada yada.
Hmm.
Was there any just get in the room and jam and see what comes out of it, or was it
No,
just no?
no.
Did that disappoint you a little bit? Were you?
No, I was going to play by their rules, however
Well,
they were
obviously,
comfortable.
yeah.
Now, it's interesting you bring that up, because years later, with Eric Singer and Carnival of Souls, or in
Mhm.
between Revenge and Carnival of Souls, when there was a bit of a time we were, the band was starting to, they were getting frustrated that even with a record like Revenge, they couldn't go platinum, which it
Yeah.
might actually be platinum, but people changed how they were buying stuff and everything,
Right.
such a
Right.
terrific record. And, I then Gene would call me up and Eric, and we jam at a small studio, nothing fancy.
Yeah.
And I have quite a few of those recordings. They're quite good. But that was jamming and see what would happen. Even though he had ideas, and then I'd
Mhm.
have an idea. But and I'm not saying it never happened with Paul, where suddenly we're sitting with another co-writer who knows how to tap out beats on a even a drum machine type thing that you can hear and sing along to. But no, the jamming usually happened at sound checks.
Well, right. Yeah, there's nothing wrong
Yeah,
with that. The song
but
"I'm
not
Alive."
for a record. I meant we'd cover
Yeah, yeah,
Led
yeah,
Zeppelin or
yeah.
something else.
Obviously, just jamming and
Yeah,
having fun at
yeah,
sound check.
yeah.
The song "I'm Alive." I think I've told you this before. To me, that's they always talked about. Oh, what if Eddie Van Halen was in Kiss? And there was all those
Right.
rumors, yada yada yada. Um, to me, that's the song that sounds like if Eddie would have been in Kiss, that's you doing Eddie.
Okay.
Um,
Well, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll take that as a compliment.
well, no, it is. It
Yeah.
absolutely is. When you're writing that song, because you do have a co-write on that song,
Mhm.
was there any thought about how you maybe this is going to be my shred song?
Well,
This is my whip my dick out song.
yeah, in a way, I mean, you got to remember that once they asked me to join the band, it was very clear that they wanted me to be um, competitive with what was happening in the
Yeah,
80s. And as we all know, guitar players really got a chance to step out and really become um, uh, a voice in the band in the sense of virtuosity and all that. And
yeah,
then so you have someone in the extreme like an Yngwie Malmsteen, you know what I mean? And then of course you got a simple meat and potatoes guy like let's say the guy from Bad Company,
yeah.
Mick Ralph, and again memorable riffs and important stuff, but certainly I was I was really freaked out by Randy Rhoads and Eddie, to be quite honest. I
Yeah.
related more to Eddie
Hmm.
because I don't know, I always got this sense, and it was confirmed with me years later, that Eddie listened to Eric Clapton, one of my big heroes. And it's true, I saw a video of Eddie early on showing off to an interview, and he's playing Crossroads,
Oh wow.
note for note. He still sounded like Eddie, but
Of
he knew
course.
every riff. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about Eddie. He was the supercharged version of a Clapton, taking that kind of guitar playing to like a race car level. Okay, of course with new
Yeah.
tricks and everything, but still with the fast picking that I never was completely comfortable on. But um, I was able to hone my craft using elements of Eddie and some of the other great players from that era. But
Was
but
there?
if I was able to show it off on
Yeah,
that
you
song, great.
absolutely did. Was there any song on that record where you're happy you did not have to play it live because of how fast you guys were playing?
Well, yeah, I mean, looking back, I have a rehearsal tape that's pretty damn awesome. Of It was only a trio, and I'm sure Paul had a reason why he wasn't at that rehearsal that I recorded, but it was
Mhm.
great that I got it. Of us going through King of the Mountain. And that's a really hard song, even though on
Yeah.
my Hot Licks video instructional tape, I showed how the riffs were, how
Yeah.
I created the riffs and everything. And I remember listening, I didn't do a bad job. You got to remember that would have been 86.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of that stuff was always a challenge. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And you got to remember, you used a lot of the studio tricks back then. So let's say you record yourself 4 times and you pick the best parts.
Yeah.
Okay. So that becomes, where a Tears of Falling solo, it's a little bit slower song, methodically planned out, melodic riffs, a little bit of flash, and that's thankfully something I can still play. Who Wants to Boogie Lonely? I mean, all the songs have, I think, creative solos, but some of them I could still do better than others.
Right.
Obviously.
Uh, it is. Were you surprised that you guys did the 3 videos, but
Mhm.
only Tears of Falling was released as a radio single? Do you know why that happened?
Yeah, no clue, really. No.
Were you surprised?
Now, I'm not sure I was aware so much because we were probably getting out on tour and trying to
Yeah.
drive the narrative of a new record.
Hmm.
Some of the later releases, I was more aware of what was being chosen as a single.
Yeah.
But Tears Are Falling, fortunately, people still talk about that song quite a bit.
You talked about, I saw that interview on Kiss
Yeah,
Online that you
I mean,
gave the
that was one
stories.
thing that I was able to do for Kiss Online and Pop House, which was
Yeah.
a nice in-depth thing with Ken Sharp, who's a great writer that has done a lot of stuff that's Kiss, and we spent a lot of time making as accurate as we could, kind of research,
Yeah, for
because I
sure.
don't remember everything from 40 years ago.
That was a long time ago. It was a
It's a
long
long
time
time,
ago.
but I know that we kept like delving in and making sure everything was as proper as possible, and we talked about the videos. So all that content's on Kiss Online. She'll let everybody
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely. I
under
mean, because
stories. Okay.
like
And
you
now
told
there's
me
a
about
great
it. I'm like, I didn't even
yeah
know about it, you
yeah, and
know?
now there's new interviews with Gina Paul about Alive. Okay, and
Yeah.
that's the kind of content that I know Pop House is trying to fuel with the fans, to give them, the celebration of such great music.
So I was going to reference that because you were talking about Tears of Falling and like Paul played all the rhythm guitars on that. He played all the guitars except for the solo. Can you kind of tell a story about coming up with that solo and working with Paul on that?
Yes. So, I mean, and by the way, it was really Asylum where that only happened about the rhythm guitars being all him. But I
Okay.
was the new guy, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Animalize, he did the same thing. Do you see what I mean?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen to Animalize. Mark was hired as the new hotshot lead player, okay?
Hmm.
Who certainly put his stamp on that record. There's some great solos that are
Yeah.
not easy for me to play. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Not
There's a
easy for
few that
anybody to
are a
play.
little more. I could tell Paul probably worked with him to make it more melodic, like "Thrills in the Night." Okay,
Hmm.
and I played on "Lonely as the Hunter," I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and a little bit at the tail of "Murder in High Heels," but um, uh, I think that's why Paul. I mean, I think I'm a terrific rhythm player. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not saying my leads are aren't competitive, but I'm just saying I know moving forward, like Crazy Nights, Ron relied on me, and I'm sure I played guitar and everything. Not I don't
Hmm.
mean every track, but I'm saying with Paul, okay, or maybe without, not having Paul also, okay. Paul's rhythm's real important for certain songs, but on Asylum, I'm pretty sure it's all him. Okay. So I'm stepping in now on Trial by, this is his songs, probably Trial by Fire on Asylum. I would be playing rhythm. Okay. So I know I
Yeah.
said
Yeah.
that he played all the rhythms, but I meant specifically I would think, and then, or at least on Tears of Falling, I'm realizing now, no, there's no way I would have played the rhythms on I'm Alive. You see what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-oh, I was inaccurate on Kiss Online. Alert the media. Okay. No, you know what I mean? But I know when I
Yeah.
when I walked in to do Tears of Falling, I don't remember ever doing the riff or any of the chords or any of the picking
Right.
parts. He did it all.
Right.
So yeah, depending on the song, for sure.
Hmm.
If I co-wrote it, just like King of the Mountain, I would have been playing rhythm too with him, clearly. Yeah. But anyway, going in and playing the leads on Tears of Falling was a collaborative effort where we wanted to make it. I love the fact that he thinks melodically with solos too.
Yeah.
So the beginning was crafted with a melody, and it's the first part of the song that goes minor. I
Hmm.
know you play music, you'd understand that, where the song actually has a very either non-committal key of minor or major, or major from the melody. Okay, but
Yeah.
now it's minor, and which makes a nice entry for the guitar work. So the first riffs are clearly minor. I showed the solo also on my social media, and there's a YouTube of it. That was pretty cool. And then I showed how we worked out the harmony parts. I know Paul didn't come up with the flashy part because that was something that, kind of a riff I used to fool around with sometimes. And
Okay.
the fact that I was able to nail that part, but
Yeah.
that was there for the flash, even though it's still melodic. And then to end it with a little minor, and then end that riff with a nice minor thing. And then, climb up, which was something I was known for something exciting at the very
Hmm.
ending. Okay. So, really a solo that I love the way it's constructed, and that approach was a big part of many of the solos that I did with Kiss. Melody, some flash, hopefully an exciting ending. Saying, "Okay, it's time for me to give it back to the lead singer now." That kind of thing.
Yeah. 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 For sure.
Mhm.
Gene and Paul produced the record.
Yep.
Were they producing themselves and not chiming in on each other?
Largely, they produced their own stuff, but then would obviously have an opinion with the other on their.
Yeah.
But in general, I would say Paul knew what he wanted and Gene knew
Hmm.
what he wanted. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I was just there to play guitar with whoever needed me to.
Right. Well, I mean, was there a difference between how each of them produced you?
um, Only in the sense that obviously they're using their particular taste to help guide me. Okay.
Right.
So I think Gene was more attracted to Flash than Paul. Okay. So I've seen Gene be like specific about some styles of guitar playing, where I think Paul knows that some speed is a good thing in times, but I think he's real concerned about a melody first. Okay, and I'm not saying Gene doesn't think melody, but I know he wants the guitar to be exciting. So
Right.
now Trial by Fire, which we co-wrote, there isn't even a damn solo in it.
Oh shit.
You think about
Oh
it.
shit. I never
Yeah.
even realized.
Yeah,
I
I
was
know.
just
But I
listening to
wrote
it
it with
today.
him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
it, the
yeah.
sec, it didn't really need a section for a solo. It's kind of weird. At the end, I get a little. The movement moves a little bit more, but I didn't care. But what? And is that the only one I wrote with him? And I think the other co-writes are with Paul. Yeah.
Was there any ghost players on that record?
John Beauvoir on
Yep. Well,
bass.
he's credited though.
He is. I didn't know.
Yeah, yeah. I was
On the KISS
looking at.
album, it said John Beauvoir,
Let's
or on
see. It's
Wikipedia.
well, Wikipedia.
Yeah, usually on
And
KISS they don't ever mention it on the product. That's what I'm saying.
gotcha. Alan Schwartzberg drum overdubs on "Who Wants to Be Lonely." Tears are falling and all night.
I didn't even know about Alan on that, and that's possible. But I thought Eric Carr played terrific on the record.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Yeah, yeah. And I could see
absolutely.
why Paul Lott wanted John, because he was helping write some of the stuff, and he had an interesting feel. Later on, it would be Paul would lean on me sometimes to play bass.
hmm
Gene is like, I admire him so much. I copy his style. I know who
Oh, he's a
influenced
great
him.
bass player.
Absolutely. And he doesn't care about being a respected musician. We all know
Right,
that. Okay.
right.
But he's an incredible, musician, because he's dialed in what he does on the bass so well. The fact that he doesn't care makes it even funnier. But that's part of his shtick, that he's a
Right.
business guy and he has a character and he's the demon or the tough guy who and he's all those things, even though he's also a little teddy bear many times too.
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
Showing his emotions
Yeah.
about his mother or
hmm
Israel or whatever. But the point I'm making is that Kiss always thought about the song. So if Paul thought, and if I did the demo with him on a song and I played the bass and he liked what I played, it's like the Beatles. How many things McCartney played
That's true. Yeah.
guitar or even drums,
Yeah.
or you bring in Eric Clapton to do "While My Guitar Gently Weeps." Kiss
hmm
was more about that than
The
only
song,
having the four of us in the studio.
right. The song "Love's a Deadly Weapon." That was a plasmatic song, correct? Or
Yeah,
it came.
you'd have to research that.
Credits plasmatic members Rod Swenson and Wes Beach. Borrows heavily from the song "Party."
Yeah, that I didn't know. All I
You
know
had
is
no idea about that.
no.
All
All
right.
I
Well,
know
okay.
is it was one of Gene's up tempo things.
Very well. Very well. But when's the first time you saw the costumes?
Oh, that would have been maybe there was a meeting somewhere in New York City with Fleur. Okay, the very talented. I don't pronounce her last name very well, but she's. I still keep in touch with her, and she started working already with Paul, and obviously the clothing was quite extreme. I mean, I could
You
easily,
think?
yeah, I could easily say, especially on the side of Paul, but I think he was
Yeah.
entertaining that. Now, I have showed a pretty cool picture of Ozzy, and we all know Ozzy's the Prince of Darkness, and he was
Yep.
in total sequence and glittery glam and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the White Snake stuff was a little, it was that time, okay? But
Yeah.
Paul really embraced it. Lime green and dangling things and sequins and beads and stuff. Eric Carr would always be comfortable in a leotard. So instead of the animalized black one with some animal print thrown over you, now you're in colorful, you know. Um, I gotta say, I remember I told you before we started the interview, give me 5 more minutes, I got
Yeah. Yeah.
props, right?
Props.
So besides the records, the t-shirt, and my guitar, I have another prop. Okay.
Uh-oh.
So I found this
I'm
in my
excited.
closet, and this is just representing something that was going on. I always shop for clothes lots of times
Mhm.
on Melrose Avenue in Los Angeles. Okay.
Yep.
Back in that era, it was rock and roll. Okay.
Yeah.
Leather. It could be biker. It could be Judas Priest. It could be flashy, it could be sequence and glitter and, everything. So, for example, here I always love these kind of Indian cotton scarves. Look at these
Yeah.
colors. Okay. You get where I'm going with
Yeah,
this.
absolutely.
And
They
this
match the
is
record.
vintage and from
Yeah.
that era. And people were making things using these colors and everything. And
Mhm.
somehow when Paul and Fleur got involved with like, what should we do? Obviously, Gene being the real, the odd member out, because how do you make a demon guy, someone that always exudes this kind of a macho, Mussolini from
Yeah, yeah,
Solo.
yeah,
You,
yeah.
you know what I mean? And now he's in, sequins and red and capes and everything. You know what I mean? It was awkward for Gene. I felt bad. And I don't know if there was any solution. I also think it's why we were never professionally filmed with a whole concert by Kiss, because he didn't like the way he looked. I know that. But, that was the era.
Well,
My outfits I thought were a great medium. Some of them, I
yeah.
remember sharing one that, oh my God, those pants and that jacket remind me of what, Taylor Swift just made so popular, this red outfit or
Right.
something she was wearing.
You don't have any of that anymore, right?
I don't have any of the Asylum clothes. Most of that stayed in the warehouse. And then when they had that big Butterfield auction back in 2000, those outfits was definitely sold. Don't know if they wound up at like a Hard Rock or a private person bought it, but they're out there.
Were they working on the costumes before they came up with the concept for the cover? Or do you
Don't
think
know. I'm not so sure. Uh, I don't think they were necessarily connected.
okay. Well, it would make sense because of how the cover is compared to what the
Yeah,
costumes are. You know
but
what
I
I
think it
mean?
was just the time to do something. I mean, I first of all, the title "Animalize" was brilliant, and fortunately, animal clothes and accents and from everything about um, that style, it never went away, right?
Right, right,
And
right.
obviously something like the Asylum colors and things that's you got to have a flavor for that. You know what I
No,
mean?
absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
and obviously, even though this is just a drawing, we know what the actual photo looks like.
Yeah.
But I like, there's a great video out there. I don't even want to get into too much about the cover, because the artist that developed it with Paul, uh, he's done there's videos of him sharing. Dennis Wool, I forget how to pronounce his last name. I'm pretty sure he's the one. He explains everything about it. And
Gotcha.
I watched it and studied it because I didn't realize, oh, why is it tilted? And even though Eric Carr might have gotten the short end of the stick there, he did it to make it a little arty. You know what I mean? To do it
Yeah, yeah,
different.
for sure.
There are versions of those photos, and then he explains that each one of us just came in with like all right, just pose. It was just a photo each, and then you're manipulating it obviously in
Gotcha.
um, in whatever programs they used back in 40 years ago. I don't know what they used. Now it's always Photoshop and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I mean, and that's even when I realized, well, what if my face was on this, and then I could use some of those brush strokes? Where would I put them? You see what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And I know that this looks perfectly balanced to me, but that guy had that talent and eye
Hmm.
for it. And I think it's, you either love it or you hate it. Either
Right,
way,
right.
I love that my face is on the cover. That's for sure.
What do you remember about the making of the videos?
Oh, exciting! I mean, first of all, going to England, which, by the way, was a lot less expensive back then
Hmm.
than it would be now. Okay, we
Yeah,
all
yeah.
know how expensive going to Europe is, and then you got
Hmm.
the VAT tax and everything else. Um, It was first of all, I love England. I love London. I grew up loving the British invasion, so anything to do with the Beatles, the Who, and Led Zeppelin, and on and on. So I was very very excited to be there. There's a couple of my personal photos on the Kiss Online um, article that I shared. Obviously, I was just always excited. I got my first public shower with people, and tears are falling.
Right, right.
Yeah. And then I got wet again in the other video,
That's
and
right.
Who Wants to Be Lonely. The guitars survived, but it was pretty weird, you know.
The all night video with all the girls.
Yep.
You have any good stories about the filming of
I
that?
mean, a lot of that stuff was shot. Some of them they're in the same shot as us, but
Mhm.
not really. And to be honest, I wish I knew more about where the director kind of was stealing something from Hollywood. You know, the like kind
Yeah,
of Bigsby. What is it called? Berkeley
Bugsby.
something.
Yeah, Bugsby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my wife knows all this stuff. Lisa's a big. She got it right away. But what can I say? It was very tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Anything outrageous back then, and sexy, and it was a bit burlesque or whatever. Um, was interesting. You know what I mean? I was playing a Charvel that I had made post Animalize with a zebra stripe design. Something
Yep.
I'm going to explore in the future. I found Izzy the original drawing I made to give Grover Jackson to
Really?
create the guitar.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's cool.
yeah, isn't that cool? Um, and then Tears of Falling, I used a custom design too. Unfortunately, that guitar was stolen. The Zebra one I sold a long time ago because I never bonded with the neck shape and everything. Who knew that? Like, why would I get rid of something like that? But you
Right,
do it,
right.
when it's 5 years after you don't have the same importance. But now with time, I go like, what did I do? And the other one was stolen along with a few other of my guitars back in '88. That was the one that was purple with
Hmm.
lines on it. I designed that too with and gave Grover Jackson that design. I was never the guy to put like naked girls and skulls on my guitars. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I wanted something just some I like Art Deco and I like animal stuff, so I had those approaches. But and then of course the multi swirl was featured in one of them,
that's right. That's
and this
right.
guitar is still legendary. And
Hmm.
the original one, the one is with a tremendous collector in Sweden who even has one of my outfits from that era. I
Nice.
think he got that in the auction or through someone that bought it in the auction and
Mhm.
then they passed it down. So, and the other guitar, the Flip Flop Blue, which I'm still selling. I still have a few remaining mini guitars of this. That's at the Hard Rock in London where they keep the vault and the merch. Okay, it's right in
Yeah,
Hyde Park. That one the Hard Rock bought from me ages ago. So cool stuff. I
absolutely.
love looking through all the years about the guitars that I used, of course.
When you go back and watch those videos, do you grin? Is there anything that makes you cringe a little bit, or do you just enjoy it all?
No, now I enjoy it. I know that probably if you asked me that in 1995 or something, I would have been like, what's going on
Yeah,
here? But no, I love it. Lisa and I, whenever we've revisited some of these things, like me looking in the keyhole in one of,
yeah, that's right.
she said, do the keyhole, Bruce. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, the keyhole. Okay. So,
great.
no, I get it. And then, to imagine that I'm forever, first of all, the teardrop going down my guitar neck, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? They start the promotions on, if you look online, a lot of the promotions that was put together by Pop House and all show that. But to be, in the shower, the volcano, all that. No, I think all of them stand the test of time in a fun way. And I
yeah,
love that they were, my very first video with the band is actually a live video for Thrills in the Night. Of
that's
course, we
right.
were
That's
we were
right.
synced, but they realized, all right, that's the next single, and that's a terrific song. It really
It
is.
is.
Okay, but that was really the first one I ever did with them. But all three of these songs are so important and something I always want to be connected to. The videos you're talking about. And it's not
Absolutely.
just because of the videos. I think
Yeah,
they're the most accessible commercially of those
yeah,
songs,
yeah,
of
for
that
sure.
record rather. But I still love that you like the exciting ones, and people talk about King of the Mountain sometimes.
If you had to pick one song on there that a video was not made for, which one would you?
Well, let me think about that one. Well, I certainly let me look at the song list just so I don't give you a bullshit answer there. Hang on. I tell you, King of the Mountain would be exciting. That was always my first thought. Not a lot
Yeah,
of songs on the record.
you're right, right, right. Well, it was back in the day where you
Yeah, there were only
records.
nine.
Yeah,
So Yeah, I would say King of the Mountain. That would be really cool.
Be fucking
Just
killer.
visually, what you could do with it, even though we use a volcano and Tears of Falling, maybe it could be something with that.
That'd be cool. Then you guys are going out on tour. I just interviewed Jamie St. James yesterday from Black and Blue, who was
Hmm.
they did a bunch of dates on that tour with you. What do you remember about the tour?
Well, obviously, it was very exciting. I know we had great um, ambitions and expectations, and for one reason or another, actually, the attendance didn't stay at the height of the Animalized thing,
Hmm.
which was obviously disturbing for Gene and Paul.
Right.
Um, the sign was the biggest sign they ever used. I
Hmm.
think it still is true to even later. Okay, even with all the years of technology, it was the first like incredible multicolored sign. Okay,
Yeah, that's
which
right.
is unusual. Probably in the beginning there was even um, faces on the floor, which I think were too difficult,
Hmm.
maybe slippery, whatever, and they were retired. And then if we want to talk about the four lightning bolt steps, which whoever designed them, should be shot because climbing them was not friendly. Okay. That's like a escalating nightmare. You know what I mean?
Right,
And
right, right.
there's plenty of video out there. Paul, you know, well, I'm not sure if Paul ever fell, but I know Eric did. And I know I stumbled as well. Fortunately, you didn't fall off the complete stair, but you got
Right.
stuck there for a minute. So I know we got rid of two of them, and then we might have kept two, and then maybe they all went away. I don't remember. There's some guys in Sweden that are such pros about the tour. They always talk about the variations of the staging.
Yeah.
But it was an exciting stage, and unfortunately, there's not a lot of video of it.
Yeah, and that there's really not a lot of video or of any of the Asylum stuff other
Right.
than,
Not
you
I
know.
mean, there's some rough things. There's
Yeah.
one thing that came out that was pretty cool. That was somebody synced the audio to the what they had was part of a promotional video. I'm
Hmm.
looking in the tour book if there was anything like. I know you always take pictures, but you got to admit, I mean, that's pretty
Oh, that's
exciting.
so killer.
And this was
That's
included
so
on.
killer.
Yeah, that was included on the off the soundboard product.
Yeah.
So, and then Eric had a drum riser, which was really cool.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, I wish there was video. And then again, there's my Taylor Swift outfit, the red one, that red
Yeah,
one.
that's
And
great.
I know Fleur loved that when I shared that. And there's my getting wet in the
In the video.
shower,
Yep.
from the video,
Yeah.
so.
Is that a reprint of the book or is that the actual?
No, this is an actual book. In fact, it's slightly falling apart, but I have a few of them like this. If anybody needs one, reach out. I could sell you a signed one.
Smart. Smart.
Yep.
Do you
Yeah,
think?
no, I love the book, because right,
Yeah. Well, that's killer.
four of
That's
us all
killer.
over. Where the Animalize, you got to remember for Animalize, obviously all the merch started off with Mark St. John, and then
Right.
they finally realized, oh, Bruce is now in the band. We got to fix the cover, and then they left. It's funny, and then when they had the one shot of me in the thing included, they left a picture of his hand in it, which was all swollen, which was part of his
Wow.
condition, which made no sense. Oh, I guess that was a reminder of we replaced the guy that unfortunately had the swollen hand with
Yeah.
this guy.
Right.
you know.
Hey, Bruce, before we go here, I do want to touch on you are going to be playing here in November with the big KISS event here. What can people expect from you? I'm sure you
I
have
think
some tricks up your sleeve.
there's a schedule out there,
Yep.
okay, and my band will play on Sunday
Yep.
night. I got it's like a Kiss cruise. It would be like a set from the cruise, except usually on a cruise, it's 5 days, and usually you got to play twice. I'm playing one time. I actually on purpose chose the earlier slot because it's a 3-day weekend in Vegas.
Yep.
What could happen? I didn't want to go on it at 9:30, 10 o'clock and all that.
Right.
So we'll be followed by Black and Blue, which I believe Tommy will sit in with them for some of that set.
Yep.
I am going to play along with Kiss on the Saturday night. I don't know what songs and how much, but
Mhm.
that's when they do their performance.
Right.
I'll be there all 3 days, although I'm not. I don't have the schedule beyond that of what exactly I'll be doing. But
Right.
it is kind of a cruise on land, and
Yeah, for
even though
sure.
it's at the Virgin, which is a fine hotel. I know the locals, and you're local too. We both live in
Yeah.
Vegas. Are all upset. Well, I want to go, but I don't want to stay at the Virgin. But they got to understand that it's sold that way as a complete
Mhm.
package. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm preparing the songs now that I'm gonna do with my band, and obviously, I can't cover my whole catalog, but I'm gonna try to touch upon everything that I know they'd love with a couple of left turns. I can't
Yeah.
go too deep because I still want to cover my stuff. I got
Mhm.
to give a shout out to my good buddy Chris Jericho because his quarantine band is going to play as well.
Yeah.
I love the guys with Quiet Riot. They're playing on the Friday night. Stephen Piercy and Warren DiMartino, who are representing Rat, basically, they're
Mhm.
there as well. And I might be forgetting another artist or so,
Dude,
but
Sebastian
oh yeah,
Bach.
Sebastian, of course. That's on the same night as the Kiss thing. And during the day, I think there's a lot of these other things, and I am aware of doing something with. Even though Bob Ezrin, the famous producer, of
Mhm.
course, can't be there in person, we're going to Zoom and do a panel and discuss Revenge, I believe.
Oh,
So
cool.
that's going to be exciting.
That's good. Do you who's going to be playing with you for this for your
So
band?
I'm going to have Brent Fitz on drums.
Of
Okay.
course.
Todd Kearns, of course, is my guitar player frontman. I will mention that unfortunately Zach has another commitment. Zach
Mhm.
Throne, who's a dear friend and wonderful musician, he's been playing with Jerry Cantrell, and
Yeah.
they now have a gig in Mexico, so he wasn't able to make it. But I'm actually poaching, shall I say, and I've played with him before and done a full set of Kiss music. Joe McGinnis, the guy who plays guitar actually with Chris,
Nice.
who's really excellent. And he
Yeah.
did play at another show with me in Florida when I played with Joey Casado, and we did and Todd Kearns, and we did an entire show of Alive 3. And Joe has been he can play the bass and sing.
Yeah.
Did you know that Joe McGinnis was part of that? There was this record that came out of all originals that
Yeah,
sounds
it's
like this.
called
Something 78
yeah, Classic 78.
classic
Yeah.
78. And I knew Joe a while before I even knew that he was one of the principals of that,
Yeah.
writing and singing. And what's
Yeah.
interesting, Joe, much like my guys, meaning when I say my guys, I mean Todd and Zach, they could sing either Paul or Gene. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Certainly I prefer when Zach sings Gene and Joe does a fine Gene. And I don't want to overtax anybody with the vocals, so that's why
Right.
you split it up. Todd being like always such a brilliant artist, and that's why he works all the time.
Yep.
Todd Kearns is just an incredible front man and musician, and um, and Brent is just a tremendous drummer and a super musician who can play any instrument. So
Yeah.
he always knows everything anyway. So anyone who's seen me on the cruise, and there was another cruise that Zach had to be somewhere else that I brought in a guy um, from Canada that Brent knew, this guy Chaz, who did a great job too.
Mhm.
So the important thing is I hire whoever can play with me when I'm missing one of my A team, as I like to call it, who is willing to put the time in and the effort. And there is no bigger Kiss fan than Joe, even though he's also
Right.
an incredible country artist,
Yes,
believe it or
he
not.
is. He is.
You know,
And he's very jealous of my 80s Ace jacket
Oh,
with the
okay,
lightning
that's
bolt.
funny. I didn't know
Yeah.
you knew him, and I
Oh yeah.
hooked him up with ESP guitars. I
Oh,
mean,
nice.
first of all, he plays me incredible
Yeah.
in Chris's band, and I get a kick out of that because he's way younger than me, so he can fire off some things that I'd rather not do at the age of 71. Okay.
Mhm.
What's funny is baseball players retire. You're lucky if you're playing in your 40s, in the major leagues. But
Yeah.
musicians have to play, when they're on Social Security. Okay.
Yeah,
It makes no
exactly.
sense to me. Um, but my point is, Joe, I knew that he's a credible country guy too. And I said to ESP, this guy can pick like the country guys and play me, you know what I mean, from Kiss. So you got to hook up with them. They love him and they know that that's kind of cool to have an artist like that, because usually ESP is driven mostly by obviously there's the legacy guys like me and George Lynch and stuff like that, but they're
Yeah.
driven by the artists that are kind of darker, heavy metal stuff,
Hmm.
from around the world. So, but I'm still, uh, grateful that I'm still connected with them, which is awesome. I was just at their 50th anniversary party in LA,
That's
which was
right.
really
That's
cool.
right.
To think I was with them now 40 years, because Asylum is where I started playing their guitars. And George was the president of ESP, was George's tech when Dokken was opening for me with
Wow.
ESP. I mean, with on KISS tour. So imagine that. And then
Wow. That's
years
wild.
later, he became the president,
Yeah.
and he's a dear friend of mine too, Matt. So yeah, small world. It was really cool to see George there. I know when I posted the picture, not all the KISS fans are Dokken fans, but they should know that connection, that 40 years from the Asylum tour. That's crazy.
That's just wild, man. Well, it's been a great run, and I'm so happy that this album is finally, people are finally opening their eyes to it, and I want to help. I want to take some responsibility for that, because I convinced Trunk, and then Trunk went to the airwaves, and now everybody's loving Asylum, and that's all because of me. So thank you very much.
That's great. Yeah, I
I
hear
know.
you.
Yeah,
No, that's
but
that's great. And I think it was important for us to talk about the product and the 40th anniversary stuff, even though it came up a little while ago. If they don't,
yeah,
follow KISS online, they may not see that cool stuff. So
yep,
anyone that's interested in that, it's not that hard to find. You just go to KISS online, you dig through and you look for music, and you click on that, and you can find your own. And then if you got to have the picture disc, then you got to go to eBay and you got to pay a fortune.
yeah, exactly, exactly. You'll get soaked. Bruce, as I'm hitting my outro music, where can they find you? Um, you give all
Yeah,
your
sure. Well,
infos.
I mean, websites aren't as like vital as they used to be, but certainly brucekulick.com shows it shows actually some of my social media feed too, but Facebook, I have an official page and a personal page. I generally post about the same stuff on either one, but
Mhm.
just look for Bruce Kulick. It always has a blue check. Don't get fooled by a scammer. You know what I mean? They're out there. Same thing with Twitter and Instagram. Not hard to find me. All the links, I'm on Google. And then my YouTube channel has a lot of content that I don't spend, because I never monetize YouTube. It's not my thing to like
Yeah,
constantly be doing product. I mean, meaning content, because the guys that do the content, frequently, they're earning a living from YouTube. If
yeah,
especially when you see that they have, 500,000 subscribers or 1 million subscribers. I don't do that. I do it to connect with the fans. I do it to share my stuff, and this way it's a little easier with the music and what I want to share and what I want to show, of course. But everything's, it's real easy to find all my content, and then you can see the stuff that I do with my wife and where I'm headed, and obviously looking forward to seeing the fans in Las Vegas later this year. And then if anyone, I know you're getting this out on the anniversary or one of the anniversaries of
yeah. Right.
Asylum. So if you're anywhere near Florida, you can make your way there. The Fanboy event's going to be great. 3 days down in Orlando, and that's at the end of this month, September. Okay. So, and I'm always active doing things, So
Yeah, you're out and about. And last question: who's playing drums for Kiss at the thing in November?
and the honest answer is I don't know.
You
And don't
don't
ask me
know.
why it may not be Eric. I say may not be Eric because I'm
Yeah,
always like a Hail Mary, like last minute
yeah,
that things worked out, but even I don't know the answer to that. And it's unfortunate. But I know that uh it's a big question on everyone's mind, and unfortunately, even I don't have the answer to it.
dude, it's
I'd
all
like to
good.
hear. I know Doc McGee gave some answer that didn't make any sense on some
Yeah,
interview. I'd love to hear somebody ask Gene and Paul, but I don't know. What can I say? And everyone knows, and I love Eric, and I would protect
yeah,
him 1,000,000%. If he did tell me something, but I can tell you right now, I don't know, and he's smart with his behavior that way. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Absolutely,
Because it's
like
personal to him, and it's his business, and he knows I'm too close to everything. You know what I mean? Anyway,
right.
and he knows that I'm like I hope you can work it out, whatever is the holdup. But if anyone thinks that like, oh my God, he is not well or something. You saw him. He
Yeah,
was
I saw
out.
him last night.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
he's fine, and we keep in touch, and I hope it gets worked out. That's all. I mean,
ladies and
another
gentlemen,
question could easily be, "Where's Ace? Where's Peter?"
yeah.
Okay,
Well, I mean, the doc was very when they asked him about that on Shout It Out Loudcast, he made it like he made it sound like he wasn't going to give an answer, but he gave an answer, and he goes, "And you didn't hear that from me."
yeah,
I mean, who knows?
I know, I know.
No.
Well, either way, no matter what happens, everybody that is participating will absolutely want to make this memorable experience for the KISS fans.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
let's. I'm looking forward. They were like a wild tribe in a sense, the KISS fans. And as they merge together like some sci-fi Borg group of people, that are interconnected in all these ways. We'll all celebrate KISS, which always should be celebrated because it's just such an incredible catalog and entertaining band. I'm just
I agree 100%. Bruce, thank you
proud
so
to be
much.
part of history. You know that. Okay.
Absolutely, dude. Thank you so much for doing this and taking
And
the
anybody
time.
want an Asylum scarf, reach out to me. No, I love this. I love it. I sleep with it.
I love it.
I'm teasing.
All right,
Okay.
ladies and gentlemen, hit up Bruce
Thanks,
Kulick.
Izzy. Yep.
You can find me. Hold on one second. We'll say goodbye off the air. Find me, izzypresley.com. Patreon, sign up. It's only $5 a month. $5 a month. You spend more than that on a cup of coffee every day. $5 a month. Exclusive content. You're getting this before everybody else, too. You know that. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you next week. My name's Izzy Presley. The show's another effing podcast. What I lack in talent? Well, you know the answer to that.